Welcome back to another episode of Drivers for Drivers. I'm Ken Cox, and I've been using Mother Nature as a hair dryer. It's been ridiculously windy out there. Oh. Today we've got Francis Ham,
Hi.
Jeff Dreier. Behind the scenes we've got Danny.
Hello.
And we are
Drivers for Drivers.
You know, I thought for sure Jeff was going to mess that up.
That's right. He nailed it, man.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
Good job, Jeff.
Really good.
So
the
today
only
we've
thing I
got
have.
Jeff. That's the only thing I've got. Jeff is deaf and mute, so
It's gonna be. He's gonna.
interesting.
So he's gonna interpret.
So you work at Giltner.
Yep.
How long have you been working there?
Been at Giltner for 23 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
What have you
Dude.
done in that 23 years?
23 years. I came here first as a driver manager. Worked the 4-on 4-off shift. Drove the 4 days off, and then was driver manager the other 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my. Yeah.
So you've got you had your CDL.
Yep. I have had my CDL. My first dump truck was in 83, 84 that I started driving. Then I did Davis-Bacon work for a long time, 8, 9 years. And then did some over-the-road driving. Decided to come to Giltner. Got out of the truck and into the office.
Made the better move.
Made the better move.
So where are you from originally?
I was born in Missouri, and I was raised in Littleton, Colorado. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
What took it? Man, that's a pretty decent stretch. What took you to Colorado?
That's where my parents are from, was in Colorado, but my dad was drafted, so I was born on an Army base at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were born.
I was born in Europe. Yeah, my
Yeah.
dad was in the military, and I was born over in Schaffenburg, Germany.
Schaffenburg.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought you were kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was born
Yeah.
in Europe.
that's right.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
So what was your? Did you start driving? Like, how old were you when you started driving? Like,
I was like 20. First dump truck was a 5-4.
Okay.
With no brakes on a job site. That was awesome. So,
you have to dump. Dump to stop.
yeah.
Kind of like skates, like those old skates where you.
You didn't have to worry about hours of service back then. It was just, you just need to keep making those rounds.
right.
There's no stopping.
That's right. It's like the sun's still up. Keep going.
Yeah, you can still see.
So when you're not doing the Giltner stuff, what are you doing on your off time?
Like to golf. Think around the yard. That's about it.
When did you move to Idaho?
Moved to Idaho. I got a call from Giltner, and they asked me if I wanted to come to work over here. I was actually had gotten to the office with Dredge Trucking in Salt Lake City, and I was driving for them. And then I came into the office, became a driver manager, and one of Giltner's salesmen was at a picnic I went to, and he told Doug about it, and Doug called me up and asked me if I'd come in for an interview. So
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's
A
great.
couple of years ago, 23.
yeah, 23 years ago.
So what is it that you do now?
I'm the head of driver management, basically the driver liaison. So, as you know, drivers only call when they're not happy.
Yep.
Yes.
When they're happy and everything's going good, they never call. So when the drivers are having a hard time or things aren't going right, they give me a shout, and we work through the issues and what's going on and try to make it a little better.
Absolutely.
That can be taxing at time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it can get.
What's your favorite story about what you're doing now?
Favorite stories were at the end of the day when we, some drivers call, they have some issues, things aren't going right. Just be able to work with them and make it better for them.
Get a
So
result.
they can get a good result.
Yeah, you play a very, very important role, on the team over with Giltner. When we look at our drivers, I always say driving's a tough job, and it's a very tough job. Our people do a great job doing it. But when you look at what a driver has to go through to get a load delivered and some of the challenges and opportunities that happen through that, and having a lifeline to reach out and say, hey, I need some help here, and that's where you come right in and you help these guys a lot, and that's a must,
Yeah.
It's a great job that you do there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's I love what I do. I like working with the drivers and just help them get through the day. It's not easy what they're doing. They're busting their butt for everyone. A lot of stuff they have to go through all the time.
I want to know, Jeff, where do you go when you have to vent? I mean, everybody comes to you to vent. Where do you go when you have to vent?
My story is, and the girls upstairs, they'll call me and ask me if it's a 2-puppy day or a 3-puppy day. And I always joke. I always say, well, to feel better, at the end of the day, I go to the pound and I adopt 2 puppies.
What's your most common phone call? Like, what's the most common complaint?
Complaint is not getting home on time for home time is a big one, and we try to take care of that and get everyone home to see their families. Family time is huge.
And that can be hard to juggle, because if they're held up at that ship or a receiver, that throws the next few days off.
Right.
That's super hard.
And then it takes away miles, which takes away money. They only get paid by the mile. So anytime they're held up or there's an issue, it's a lot of it's not in their control. That's what's going on with them. So.
What are some of the things that Giltner is doing now to help combat that, to help mitigate those wait times and being off schedule, stuff like that?
The biggest thing is planning your trip is huge. If you plan your trip and you make sure you're set up so you're not set up for failure as you're going in to get to where you're going. But you can't control if it's going to be 4 hours to unload, and you picked up the load a little late because you were late on the load prior to getting unloaded, and you're backed up, and it just turns into a
great big snowball effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just, it's funny because I think about just being on the road in general. When somebody pulls out in front of me, I get really mad at them because I'm like, you should be watching. That's what I'm doing. But there are times where I'm that guy that's pulled out in front of somebody, and it's because my mind's on my mother who's in the hospital or something like that.
Right.
Same thing happens with other drivers. You end up, everybody's decision ends up affecting everybody else down that line. And sometimes it's nice to talk to somebody positive like Jeff when you are, that kind of grounds you again, when you just need somebody to get that out, like that frustration out.
We all get caught up in that whirlwind. Speaking of, what safety topic do you got for today?
I wanted to talk a little bit about wind. It's windy outside today. I've traveled across Wyoming on I-80. I can't tell you how many times. And one of the things that's always been an issue is the wind in Wyoming. When it's raining, when it's snowing, you can see that on the road and you can anticipate that. A real strong wind gust, you can't anticipate it sometimes. You're traveling and you may see something up ahead, and a lot of veteran drivers don't know what that is that's going on. And this time of the year, there could be snow on each side of the roadway. The wind kicks in and it blows that snow across the road and it creates an ice. And then when you hit it and you get a side wind, it's an opportunity for disaster. It can just throw you right off the road and come up with some bad things. So my recommendation, or what I'd like to talk to the group about, is when it is windy like that, and especially if you've got a light load, don't risk it. Get a hold of dispatch. Let them know that, hey, this is pretty rough out here. I'm not going to take that chance. Take that truck and trailer and put her into the wind, point it into the wind, park it someplace, let the wind die down, and then get going again. It's just not risk. It's not worth you risking your health or the equipment or anything else or anybody else on the road and having an incident just because of wind.
Yep, absolutely, for sure. And everyone there in dispatch knows, if it's not safe to go down the road, I mean, you're letting us know, because we talk about communication and we need to communicate that. But let us know it's not safe for me to go down the road. Nobody in there is going to be like, oh my gosh, why aren't you going down the road? They're going to be like, all right, cool, just let us know when it's safe to go. And we'll be watching reports and looking at the roads and whatnot. A lot of times we can pull up cameras of that specific stretch of highway and we can see.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that you guys are safe.
Yeah, we just had Donner Pass. It's starting to snow again, so the chain lawn effect. Some of the drivers are fine with chaining up and going, and that's great. You know, it gets them over the hill. They get ahead of the whole group that won't chain. But if you're not comfortable driving in the snow and the ice, we don't want you driving in the snow and ice with chains on, because then it's more of a risk for everyone around you and yourself. Because if you're not sure of yourself, it can turn out really bad.
Jeff, I was wondering what tools what tools do drivers have to help them with pre-tripping and pre-planning their trips?
Well, you know, you said something there, Danny, and it just triggers something in my head when you talked about mapping and whatnot. You know, everybody has a cell phone nowadays and GPS and things of that nature. And most of the drivers don't rely on that because it will take you down a roadway that is geared for an automobile.
Yeah.
and
Chicago's really bad that
yeah,
way. That'll get
yeah,
you.
low underpasses, you know, power lines, all that kind of stuff. And then I think everybody's probably seen a TikTok video out there or something where there's a truck out in the middle of a field, you know, somebody's following their GPS,
forest.
you know. But yeah, you got to watch for that kind of stuff as well.
Right, and we actually send them a route. There is a route that they know to take and the way to go. So if they're following a different app that says, hey, take a left here, go around here, you know, it could add potentially miles to the trip. And again, put them in a unsafe situation. So typically, if there's issues, we ask them to get with dispatch so we can help them. If it's snowing, if we need to go around something or.
So that's what your team is
route.
doing the whole time.
Right.
They're kind of
They are
kind of a personal GPS.
They are the tools.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool. That's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure if that was left to the driver to kind of plan themselves. But
You know, Danny, we talk a lot about our safety scores and stuff like that and how that plays with customers and whatnot. Well, our drivers, when they're on a trip and they're traveling, we're tracking them at all times because our customers are wanting to know, hey, where's that truck? Where's it at? You know, we're looking at reefer temps to make sure, hey, there's no issues there. Where's the driver? Are they going to be on time? And we have to communicate that back to the driver, to the customer, you know, because they want to know, hey, where's our product? And so that's happening behind the scenes as our folks are pushing down the road, hauling the freight. You know, so that's another thing that we have to do, and a lot of that is communication back to the customers. You know, they're emailing, hey, is the truck coming to be on time? Is it here? You know, some of it is electronic in the system to where they can see it themselves. But that's part of what we have to do nowadays as well. You know, it wasn't like that years ago, but today it's a difference. So,
And that's fairly recent. I mean, since 2000, when I first started, it wasn't like that. I mean, I think that's within the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, we're tracking a lot more now.
Yep.
A lot of the customers want to have a quick access to the drivers where they're at and where's their freight.
yeah, which makes sense. I'm so used to, I don't know what percentage of online shopping versus going into the store shopping I'm doing anymore, but it's increased a lot. And when I go online shopping as a consumer, I'm used to seeing updates like where things are at least every day. And so that makes sense that's kind of where we're just getting used to that as being the new norm.
Before we close this down, Scott had got a hold of me right before we got here, and last week we were talking about Truckers Against Trafficking and talking about the signs that you can do if you're in trouble or if somebody's in trouble, so you can be mindful. He did bring up another one that if you're walking down the street or in the mall or something like that, and this young lady or this young man runs up to you and puts their hands around your arm, like interlocks arms, and you can see that there's something wrong, that's them letting you know, like, please save me, help me. So Scott, I appreciate you sending that in to us. We're putting these tools together so we can all be more knowledgeable, and when we see something, we can say something. Francis, clothing thoughts. Let's not talk about closing thoughts.
absolutely. I want to thank everybody for everything that you do. You know, our drivers are out there doing an amazing job. We're getting closer now to the holidays. There's going to be a lot of additional traffic out on the roadways. anticipate that, in what you're doing. Don't let yourself get distracted. Our drivers do a great job, and they deal with a lot of stuff every day when they're driving. But, I think all of us have seen kind of a road rage out there at times, and we may not be involved in it at all. But if we're on the road and somebody's doing that, you are involved in it. So you really, watch for that. You've got people who will be traveling to go see family or whatnot that really don't travel a lot, and they're going to have kids bouncing around in the cars and stuff, and it's going to distract them. So anticipate that. If somebody does something that's not really a smart move, don't let it get to you. Understand what's going on, put it behind you, and get on down the road, But thank you for everything that you do, because you do an amazing job every single day, and it shows, And our customers appreciate it a great deal as well.
Thanks for that. Danny, closing thoughts?
No, not today. Other than thanks for coming, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff, bring us home. Give us closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. Just be safe out there and have a good holiday.
All choked up. Yeah, I know.
It's okay. It's all right.
I'm going to add tears.
Well, as we're closing, and Jeff, thanks for coming out here. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I know it's kind of awkward coming and doing this for the first time. Hopefully there'll be more times that you come out here and do this. I've creepily enough, I've been watching you over the last few weeks, just kind of learning from you, and the way you're able to interact with everybody is amazing. I just want you to know I appreciate what you do in your job out there, and I'm sure a lot of the drivers do too. So thank you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Remember, adopt a family. Donations are still coming in, so if you want to donate, please do so. We want to thank you for what you do. Be safe out there. Remember, you're our eyes and ears on the road. We succeed when you complete your trip safely and you're home with your loved ones.